What is up guys, today we're going to be looking at 5 of the best team comps or strategies in this meta. We'll look at what they are, how you play them and how you win with them. Now also just a quick note that I have a bunch of ideas for videos right now, but I need to know what you guys want to see first, so there's a poll in the comments where you can vote and let me know. So the 5 I've chosen to show you are the Wombo combo, the poke or siege, split push, win lane win game and protect the carry. Now for me these 5 are the best right now and you can also use them in solo queue. I don't think there's really much point me telling you what comps are best in the pro scene right now because I want you to watch this video, take something from it and be able to actually use it. If at any point you want to skip the comp that I'm talking about, there will be timestamps in the description below that you can use. So the first team comp we're going to be taking a look at is the classic Wombo combo. Now Wombo combo is really as simple as using abilities together for a greater impact, and the one most of you will already know is a Malphite and Orianna ultimate. They both have big ticket ultimates, but when you put them together it's even more deadly. So obviously this comp revolves around the Wombo combo itself, so you have to play the game to get that combo off. The first thing you'll need to do is figure out how that combo works so when the time comes you can pull it off, and this is probably the easiest part of the process. So next up you have to create a situation where you can use that combo, because if you don't have the opportunity to use it then you're never going to pull it off. Pretty much every combo revolves around big teamfight ultimates, which means that you need to create teamfights to use them. Now the easiest way of doing this is to force objectives like dragon or towers, because either they fight you and you pull off the Wombo combo, or they stay away and you get the objective for free. If you keep taking these objectives then eventually you'll just win the game automatically, so it's very difficult to play against unless you catch people out of position. Now I'll put a couple of examples on screen, and it doesn't always have to really be the one-shot kill like an Orianna ultimate, but in my eyes it's more about the synergy between champions. Now in the second comp I consider it a Wombo combo because Jarvan locks a team in his Cataclysm and then Rumble layers his ultimate on top, plus Ziggs ultimate on top of that, and all of a sudden you are trapped taking all this damage. Now firstly it's pretty easy to play even in solo queue because you only need to coordinate the ultimates to have a huge impact and win the game, and it's not a particularly hard fight to play. Another thing is that because your team fight is naturally so strong you can be behind, pull the combo off and actually win the fight. Now this is really good because even if someone has a rough game, which happens quite a lot, you can still come out on top. Now the obvious weakness though is that if you do miss those ults you are screwed. There's no two ways about it. You generally pick champions that heavily rely on their ultimates, and so if you miss those that's a huge amount of damage gone and it's hard to escape that even if you're ahead. This next one is only really a small weakness because as I said you can be behind and still win a team fight, but if a champion has a big team fight ultimate it normally means that they aren't as strong in lane, and so you can risk the game getting out of control before you pull the combo off. And next up we have the poke and siege comps, and I honestly think these are similar but different in their own ways. So the poke comp is aimed at poking obviously, but with the ultimate goal of getting someone low and then engaging for a kill. With the siege comp it's less about poking and more about having champions that can zone or force the enemy away from turrets while you take it. So with the poke comp you're going to be spending most of your time dancing around poking while avoiding getting engaged on. Now you can do this around towers, you can do it around Baron or Dragon, it doesn't really matter. The whole point is to make the enemy come to you while you throw long range spells at them to slowly chunk them down, at which point you kill them. Now the siege comp will be more focused around towers. You don't necessarily have as much poke potential, but you do have the range to take the towers safely and get your gold lead through objectives rather than kills. While in a poke comp you do eventually want to fight, with a siege comp you really just want to take objectives and avoid the fights. So let's look at an example poke comp. You'll notice that Nidalee, Gragas and Ezreal have really good long range damage, with the Lee Sin and Janna there to disengage and prevent a fight before you poke them down. On the other side we have a siege comp where Ziggs and Caitlyn have the range to damage towers safely, and the other champions here have the potential to zone and soak damage while they take the tower. Hopefully you can really see the difference here more clearly. The left side is about damage to champions, whereas the right side is about damage to towers. Okay, so both of these comps are really good for solo queue because people struggle engaging fights and being decisive, which lets you poke them down first, at which point they'll have lower health bars than you do at the start of a fight. It's very difficult to explain, but unless you're in high diamond it's very rare for people to engage quick enough, and this is a big reason why the comp is so effective. Another reason is because if you do get ahead early you'll likely stay ahead because the enemy team need to force, but it's hard to force when you're behind. The biggest weakness really is that if you play it wrong and you get caught or you don't poke before you fight, you will lose the game. The meta right now in Season 4 has quite a few heavy engagers, which means that you have to be careful about not being engaged on if you're going to play this style, and it may even be worth banning champions like Vi. So this next one is probably the hardest to play out of all the comps I'm going to show you, but the most rewarding if you can pull it off. Now split pushing is pretty self-explanatory. You normally have one person go to the other side of the map and just push on their own. How you can actually choose to pull this off is the tricky part, because there are 3 ways that I think you can really do this. Number 1, you take teleport. You push, you make someone come to stop you, and then you teleport to your team, making the fight a 5v4, having the numbers advantage. Number 2, you pick someone who can't be stopped. You push, and if someone comes to stop you, you either ignore them or you kill them. Basically, in this scenario, the enemy team has no answer for you, and if they send 2 people to stop you, then it's a 4v3 on the other side of the map in your team's favour. Number 3, you annoy the fuck out of the enemy team. You pick a champion that pushes and takes towers quickly, but who is also impossible to catch. This means that if people come to stop you, then you run away, and if they leave you, then you'll take their base. So on screen are examples of which champions fit which type of split pushing, but I will quickly mention the rest of the team setup. So you want the disengage from your support in case they try to ignore the split pusher and engage on you, but you also want the engage yourself in case they send 2 people to deal with a split. And finally, remember that you'll be fighting 4v4 for most of the game, so you'll need to have a carry mid and AD rather than utility. So the way I've explained this makes it seem really easy, but in all honesty it's very difficult to pull it off. On the flip side, it's also very difficult to deal with on the enemy team because it requires coordination, it requires good shot calling and decisiveness, which isn't exactly the words I'd use to describe solo queue. In this way, you don't really ever need to fight, you just play the map and out-rotate your opponents while they're confused and sit there deciding what to do. The downsides to this are that your whole strategy relies on the split pusher, and if they get behind then it's not going to work at all. In this way it's pretty risky, but you can also just spend a lot of time camping the pusher's lane and force them to get ahead. The hardest part of this comp is not really for the split pusher, but it's the rest of the team, and you have to not get caught and force the enemy to make a bad decision. The reason this doesn't always work in solo queue is because the group of 4 don't have enough patience and get caught before the split pusher can do enough damage. Okay, this next team comp is the most simple out of all of these because you just win your lane and snowball that advantage to win the game. This is probably what most solo queue team comps are like right now because people just pick who they think will dominate the lane and go from there. There's nothing wrong with doing this at all, but the most important thing is that you need to come out of lane strong and your opponent needs to come out weak. This then means that you group, you take objectives because you're all stronger, and then you snowball the game from this lead. What I mean is that you should be taking every dragon, you should be grouping to take turrets. If you're really far ahead, you should be diving turrets. The key to all of this is being aggressive because you're ahead. I've put some examples of the kind of champions that are capable of winning their lane really hard, but honestly here you should be playing your best champion. For me right now personally, I feel very comfortable on Jinx and Lucian, and I normally always win my lane pretty hard, so while they're not really the dominant lane bullies naturally, they are my way of coming out ahead. The most obvious advantage is that this requires no synergy between champions, and so is good for a group of 5 players who have never played with each other before. It's really difficult to win a game where every lane loses, and so in theory there shouldn't really be a weakness to this comp. This obviously though is not true because people against each other are not of equal skill. So if someone in bronze picked Draven to go with this win lane win game strategy but played against a diamond Vayne, then Vayne would probably win just because of the skill difference. The point I'm trying to make is that it's hard to build a strategy around every lane winning because it's rare that every lane wins. So last up we have a comp that isn't really played much right now, and that's protect the carry. Now this is a really simple idea. You pick a hyper carry who gets very strong late game and you just protect that person while they kill everyone. The way you play this is normally to camp the crap out of that lane and get them ahead early, but stall the game until they reach a point where they can kill everyone. Now it sounds very simple, but remember that the enemy team will likely try to shut down that carry as well, so it's not quite as easy to get them ahead as it seems. So these are examples of carries and protection that I think can make up a good team comp. Now protect the carry is a very old school comp and idea, and I personally think that you really need to have a double threat comp now with your mid and AD both being capable of filling that carry role. Now you'll notice that the top and junglers have reasonably good peel and will be a huge front line giving the carries time to kill everyone with the support there to keep those carries alive. Personally, I think this is more of a ranked fires team comp than a solo queue one because you put a lot of faith in that carry to basically carry the whole game by themselves. In solo queue, it's not always the best idea to put your hopes of winning in the hands of one random person, and that's why, even if you play these hyper carries, I think you should pick other threats on the team. The other problem is that tanks are so strong right now. I personally don't actually enjoy playing AD as much as I used to because a tank can shut me down even if I'm pretty far ahead of them, and so that makes basing a whole team comp around an AD very risky now. When defensive stats are made more expensive or ADs are buffed, I definitely think this comp will be played a lot more, which is why I wanted to mention it here. So thanks for watching guys, and please hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Now while it is quiet, there is a backing track to my videos made by a buddy of mine, Instinctive, which you can listen to properly in the description below. Now make sure you vote for the next video, and I'll catch you next time.